Hey, good morning, everybody. Okay, so this is a little bit different for me. So, welcome to an amazing episode of Unstoppable Success Podcast. I have not gone live in a while, just myself, and we're doing this we're going to be doing lives probably once a week. So, let's get all ready for it. So this is the first. Okay, so thank you all for jumping in live with me this morning. And I truly, truly appreciate each and every one of you. So I got to put my notes in front of me because I wanted to make sure I gave you a really great episode today. So I want to start with a question. If your revenue has flattened this year, if growth has stalled, and you really can't quite figure out why, I want you to ask yourself something, because I don't want you to blame the market or the economy or even your competitors. And think about this while we drink our coffee together. I'm taking a sip. I want to ask you, and I really want you to be honest with yourselves. When was the last time you actually used your voice? I mean, not in an email, not posting something safe. Actually, use this. Opened your mouth and said something real to your team, to a prospect, to your own audience. Now, I want you to stay with me because there's a real story behind this, and it's a story behind a lot of plateaus. And this week handed me just a lot of proof in a way I really just wasn't expecting. Okay, so if you have followed me a little bit, you probably know that some things happened this past week and this past year. And it happened actually within 4 days apart. And these things just, I don't know, they keep talking to each other. So on Monday, so not 2 days ago, because today's Thursday, but last Monday, I was in the middle of flying my son out to college. And we were making the trip across the country to get him into his college dorm. And we got in between one of our flights at the layover. I actually got a text from my daughter, and the text said, and it was to myself and to my husband. She's like, my boss and my boss's boss just got fired. It's shocking for somebody who is an intern who has never experienced a RIF before. Again, so she's a marketing intern. And again, first real company, and suddenly the two people, the person who hired her and the two people that she's worked the most with are gone. So in this crazy chaos, she gets a new boss, and apparently he never got the 411 that she was an intern. So in one of their first meetings, when the new boss is like, hey, so meeting with all the people, he pulls her in and says, I really, I can't make this stuff up. I don't really think, he says to her, I don't really think that marketing does anything. I don't really know exactly what marketing does or what's the purpose of it. And in fact, what you actually do. And so she said she was flabbergasted because he would send her and the marketing team, the notes and all the things that he wanted to use in a sales presentation. And they created the most amazing marketing PowerPoint presentations, but yet he didn't know what they did. I mean, that was just one thing. So anyway, so he said to her, why don't you come up with a list of deliverables and the things that you do, and we'll decide whether or not we'll keep you on. And then, because he was kind of on a roll, he tells her, he said, oh, and by the way, I've kind of heard that you're a little bit of a social butterfly. Now, again, my daughter being shocked, but what she said back to him, and this is beautiful, was that I would rather get up from my cubicle and walk over and ask someone an actual question. I want to ask somebody a question with my words, then send them a message on Teams. They're sitting right next to me. let me go and ask them, or they're just over there. It's amazing how quiet the office is. Nobody talks. So she's like, so fine, call me a social butterfly. I'd rather know the people I work with. We are so into messaging. We need to use our voice. And my daughter's 20. And I've tried really hard to raise them to think for themselves and to use their voice. And this is not always easy. But I was so proud of my daughter when she shared this with me. It was like that proud parenting moment or that proud leader moment. So the next episode, like, so again, a few days apart, where we moved our son into the dorm, carrying the boxes. Thursday, we had this beautiful orientation. We're sitting in these chairs in this massive uh, gym. It was supposed to be outside, but thankfully the school pivoted because it started to pour. And the head of the school stands up and he said something that really put everything together for the whole week. And he said, and this is the hard part, he said, parents, this is going to be hard. You need to let your kids soar. You have to stop hovering. And you have to remember they're going to make mistakes. And guess what? They need to make mistakes. And you need to help them actually make the mistakes. Because that's how they learn. That's how your team learns. If you're always doing something for your team members, they will never learn to do it on their own. They won't find their voice. Now, when we said our goodbyes at the end of the orientation, I'm going to be honest, it was teary eyed. I wasn't as calm as I was hoping I would be. But, as my husband and I drove away and we, are now empty, are starting our second chapter as empty nesters, I realized, my daughter, I was proud, like watching and hearing my daughter use her voice, seeing my son take his place in a place that I can't follow him into. It's not that this isn't a parenting lesson. This is the exact thing I see killing growth in businesses. And it's the thing that I'm seeing killing the growth in the businesses I work with. So I want you to really take hold of this. This is a pattern. When you started your business, or maybe you got into business, you used your voice constantly. Every cold pitch, let me tell you what I am building. It wasn't a pitch, it was an explanation. You were telling people because you were so excited about what you were building. You tell everybody. Those every uncomfortable ask for the meetings, the referrals, the yeses. The voice is what got you off the ground. Your voice is what got you off the ground. Your passion got you off the ground. And then the business grows and you hire people, and you hire the people to handle calls. You hire the people to handle the content. You hire people to handle the sales. You're supposed to be working on the business, not being in the business. But what ends up happening so many times is that we start, quote unquote, hiding behind the email threads, the messaging. Name the app, whether you're using Slack or Teams, Zoom, whatever, the quarterly decks. And I'm telling you this, that plateau shows up right around the same time the voice goes quiet. That is not a coincidence. That's cause and effect. You know, A good example to show even for me is that when I moved across the country, I was telling everybody what I did for my business. And then as my business kept growing, I stopped telling everybody what I was doing, and I was working so hard in the business that I forgot to work on the business. And things slowed down and I hit a plateau. You have to find ways to consistently use your voice. So there are 3 places that I found that I watch finders go silent. And each is quietly capping their growth. And so I want to share these with you. So number 1, inside the company. What I see is as a leader, you stop standing in front of your own team and you stop sharing the words. Maybe you're doing it just in an email or a messaging app. You send updates instead of giving it. And this is really important. Silence, when silence is at the top, it trickles down. It doesn't not stay empty. It gets filled with that silence gets filled with uncertainty, it gets filled with rumor, it gets filled with doubt because people would rather have a story. People would rather have a story than nothing at all. And if your team cannot tell you what the marketing does or the marketing team does or why sales teams exist or where the company is actually headed this quarter, that's not a communication gap. That's actually a leadership gap. Get in front of your people. I'm going to say it again. Get in front of your people, not on Teams, in person, or at least at the minimum on a video with your camera on. Weekly, if you can manage it, monthly is an absolute minimum. And this is not you going over all the nitty gritty financials. But you do have to make sure nobody on your team is quietly wondering if their job even matters. People need to feel like they matter and they need to feel important. If things aren't going great, we need to let people know, right? Number 2 is in the ask. And this is actually relationship capital in its most literal form. You build this beautiful network over the years, and then you stop directly asking for the introduction, the referral, the next conversation. You might be waiting for the phone to ring instead of picking it up yourself. That silence, that waiting, is the single biggest plateau killer I see in service-based businesses. Relationships do not convert to revenue by themselves. They convert when you ask, when you use your voice to ask. Can I say that again? They convert. Relationships do not convert to revenue by themselves. They convert when you ask. Okay, so now, number 3, your own visibility. Your brand. So this might be something that a lot of people don't want to hear, but so many founders who plateau are the ones putting out safe, polished, forgettable content, right? It's forgettable. The ones who break through are the ones who are saying something real. They're saying something real with an actual point of view, or they're pulling something using their own voice. They're taking an experience and they're sharing it. And they're doing it even when it's a little uncomfortable, right? We have to get out of that comfort zone. So safe content protects you from criticism. It also caps how far you can go because nobody really remembers safe. And I'm not saying to go and bash people and be all Harry Carey, but this was also a lesson that I have learned. Less is more. But when the less is powerful and your voice, it's pointed and real, it's going to go far and you will become visible. So here's why I call this video being your safety net. It's not about protecting you from harm. It's about the fact that when you actually use it, it catches you. My daughter's voice caught her in the cubicle. And that is a huge difference between being managed out of a job and being taken seriously. Your voice does the same thing in your business. It can catch a stalled pipeline. It catches a team and a team member who is quietly stopping or has stopped trusting you. Let me get my English right. It catches you before the plateau turns into decline. And it's just like, I can't make the hard calls for my son once he is on that campus. I cannot make the calls for you either. Nobody can use your voice for you. You have to be willing to actually use it. And I want to just share something a little bit here. Because as you know, I've looked at a lot of the comments that a lot of the parents have shared in the community groups on social media. And there has been also a consistent theme. We as parents need to let our kids find their voice. It's the it's the it's the voice so you can stand up for yourself and tell your roommate, turn off the light, or we have to create a contract of how we are going to live and room together for the next 180 days. Because if you don't, you will get walked on. You need to find your voice. It's finding your voice to make sure that if somebody has blocked you, is maybe they're hanging their towel up and it's kind of creeping you out as to where they're hanging their towel because it's making your stuff wet. Let them know, use your voice. If in order to work together, two people have to talk and communicate. If your roommate is doing something to bother you and it festers in here and you don't use your voice, it's going to fester and get bigger and it's going to become a cancer and it's going to create negativity. It's the same thing in a team. If something is festering and you don't use your voice, it becomes negativity and it festers and becomes this, misery loves company, and it becomes something negative and creates a negative workforce. And we don't want that. We want positivity. So if something is festering you, you have to find that courage to have those uncomfortable conversations and use your voice. So here's what I want you to do today. I want you to pick one of the three, whether it's your team, your network, or your own visibility. Pick one where you have maybe gone a little quiet and do one uncomfortable voice forward thing today. I want you to stand up in front of your team. I want you to make the ask you have been avoiding. Post the thing you have been sitting on that might be a little provocative or challenging. Do one of those today. If this is hitting something for you, if you know you have gone quiet somewhere in your business and you're not sure how to start using your voice again, I have a complimentary CEO strategy session open this month. I've got 3 of them. So comment ready in here. Or if you are listening on your favorite podcast player, go to jaclynstrominger.com and message me and connect. and I will get you the link. And it's also going to be in the show notes to book your strategy session. And if this was useful, please do me the favor. Send it to a leader that you know who has gone quiet. They probably don't even realize it. So I want to truly thank each and every one of you for listening to me this morning, and I will see you next Tuesday in the newsletter and back here next week. I'm Jaclyn Strominger, and this is the Unstoppable Success Podcast.